I'm like 5'3".
So, I don't know. Mom's 5'4", you're taller than her now.
Are you sure she's... Well, she's probably shrunk since she's gotten older.
Oh, okay.
Like
well,
you.
Let's not let her know that. So.
I don't know if you have it on.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure they're recording.
So we're just recording me calling you short.
Well, or your mom, yeah. Yep,
Hi, Mom.
recording. So, kind of had a idea in my head of what to say, but mostly it's along the lines of the powers that be have decided that oil is bad, and therefore anything with oil, including all of the wonderful products that it can create, has to also be bad. And by bad, we mean banned. And so, unfortunately, right or wrong is not really the question. The question becomes, what are we going to do about it, and how do we live within that world? So, we are going to kind of add a little bit as this dynamic world changes, and we're going to add a few electric items. And that does have a side benefit that you can generate your own fuel if something is electric. So we are super happy to introduce the Vanpower's Urban Glide. It is an electric bike, and this is an awesome little machine. We just got it in the mail, and the specifications are absolutely impressive compared to a lot of other items on the market. And so we're excited to show it to you. All right, so there she sits in all of her glory. Yes, her too.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so dropped it off just yesterday, huh? That was super exciting. Came at the most interesting time of the day that it could have. Let's see, the Vanpower's Ultra Glide. So here's the quick specs. 14.4 amp hour, 48 volt battery, which gives you a total of 690 watt hours. The motor is a Bafang M600 48 volt, 500 watt motor. This is actually a mid-drive motor. So when they talk about specifications, 500 watts does not really seem all that impressive until you understand the design, that this motor works similar to what a vehicle motor works, that you get different gears and therefore different motor speeds. I believe, what are there, 8 or 9 gears? This keeps the engine working in its most efficient operation, so more of the power and the energy that is being used and produced by the engine is making its way to the ground. So it uses a lot less electricity to accomplish the same results.
So I'm actually very excited to go to the next video where we compare and contrast the design differences. Stay tuned.
And it is a pedal assist motor. Gives you a top speed of 20 miles per hour before it stops helping you along. You could definitely go faster. It's not going to help you go faster than that though. Range, they state 65 to 70 miles. The weight is 32 kilograms. So what is that, 68, 69, 70 pounds, somewhere around there. Okay, so the good news is it is UL 2849 certified. I believe that is the battery, which means that it is not going to catch fire on you. So life's good. What else? Let's see. And it has a 3.5-inch color TFT LCD display with adaptive brightness and Bluetooth. Cool. You can hook your phone to it. The Vanpower's Urban Glide has 80 millimeter hydraulic front suspension fork and 30 millimeter travel suspension seat post. So that's going to be really nice. It's one of the reasons Julie asked me to kind of take this one. So I believe this one has 180 millimeter brakes on it too. So. All right, so you can see that it's assembled. This video is probably going to be a little bit disjointed, but what we decided to do, because assembly videos I find ridiculously boring, I didn't want to just torture you guys with that, and would rather that you guys were somewhat entertained. That's why we do this. So what I've done is Julie, she had an e-bike 15, 20 years ago when we first met. So what I did, I sat down with Julie and we kind of went down memory lane with what she had. Had some similarities to this and had some differences. Okay.
No, we both fade out.
Right.
Do it again. There we go.
There we go. All right, so let's get a better angle and get this party started, shall we? Finally, yay.
Where's the knife?
When we first met, she had an electric bike. And she loved that and used the heck out of that machine all the way up until we had Kaya, right?
I sold it when we had been here for a few years.
So we had even been here, unfortunately, with 2 little kids in tow. It just wasn't feasible to keep around. So anyway, so I asked her for her thoughts and as much information as she remembers on it. So I guess I'll turn it around and turn it over to her.
So the bike that I had was the first of its kind. Before that, electric bikes had been treated more like scooters. They weren't particularly light and they didn't feel like riding a real bike. I researched for a couple of years before I bought one. The price tag was $1,300, but I was going to be using it as my actual commute vehicle. It was a pedal assist instead of a throttle, and the reason I liked that was because I didn't have that option just to throttle. If I wanted to go for a bike ride, it was still a bike ride. I was being assisted, but the bike couldn't just take over and take me where I wanted to go without me having some kind of effort. It had an on and an eco drive, and I found that just putting it on eco was more than I ever really needed. And mostly what it did was give you a way to show up to work without being very sweaty, or if you had a powerful headwind, it allowed you to get back home without getting blown off the map. And I would generally put 5 to maybe 12 miles in a day on that bike. The range wasn't terribly good on those. I think my range was like maybe 20 miles. And the battery was pretty much the same weight, same size, almost exactly the same shape as the ones that they have now. It was just that the range was much shorter, pretty much the main difference. I used panniers on the side of the bike at certain points to haul groceries, and then once we had kids, I had bike carts that we would put a couple £100 worth of groceries into and put kids into. And it wasn't until we moved out here in the country where we didn't have designated bike paths and the roads were really narrow that I stopped using the bike. And it was just because, for one thing, the kids couldn't keep up with me on their bikes because their bikes weren't motorized. And so if I wanted to use that bike, I had to pretty much bike solo. And so after a while, I sold that bike to my parents. I have a disabled brother, and they thought he would be able to use it. It turned out he still had too many balancing issues and he couldn't. And eventually they sold that, but not before they bought another bike that was from the same company, and it had a throttle on it. And I really didn't like that bike. That was not a good bike. It felt more like a scooter. It wasn't super comfortable to ride, and it was clunky in the way that it shifted between the pedal and the assist. It was not seamless the way that the pedaling came in. And so it was in your mind more that it was an electric bike instead of it just feeling like a normal bike. The battery lasted for about 5 years, and then I had it record, and I think that cost just under $200 to have the battery record. And then it worked fine again. I think I had to buy another charger at the same time because the charger itself kind of wore out. But considering how many miles I put on the bike, I felt like that was not unreasonable, that kind of upkeep. And if I had it to do over again, I wouldn't have sold the bike. I hadn't had teenagers yet, and I thought that forever I would have little kids that were with me that would make it awkward to just have the one electric bike. But I wish we'd held on to it. I think we still would have had a lot of use out of it. But sometimes you move into another phase and you don't realize that you'll use something again, and that was one of those mistakes that I made. This bike, when they offered me this bike, I was looking at the Ultra and I was very excited because I saw that it did not have a throttle. And I was over the moon about that, and I wrote an email back to the Vanpower and mentioned how excited I was because it reminded me of my Free Light. And they wrote back, and it turned out they'd been offering me the Pro, which does have a throttle. And therefore, while I was worried they weren't going to send me anything because I had mentioned how much I don't like the throttle, but what they did instead was that they bumped me up to the next level. Instead of sending me the Pro, they sent me the Ultra. So I can't wait to try this bike. I think it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to compare it to the trike. I think it'll work really well in town. I've taken that into my brother who had a knee injury, and he'll be using it for physical therapy. I'm excited to compare the Ultra Glide to the trike and see what the range is. I did take a long ride on the trike up into the hills, 15 miles up, and what I found was that it was frightening for me to be in traffic because our roads are so narrow, and that my tailbone was in pain after about 15 minutes of riding, and so it wasn't meant for long distances. Originally with the trike, I had been hoping to use it to get up into the hills so that I could do some hiking, but the pain from my tailbone made it so that that wasn't feasible. So if the Ultra Glide works and I can get up into the hills and get to my hiking trails, I'd like to hike a lot this fall, and just see if we can't be outside a little bit more than we usually are without running up high gas prices. The last time I did do my hiking for as much time as I would like to, I was spending $45 a week on hiking gas. It takes 20 minutes to get up and 20 minutes to get back from this particular hiking trail, and it added up very quickly if I was going in once a day, something that our family really couldn't afford. And so hopefully this bike will change that. And I haven't ridden it yet. I think John's ridden it. Did it feel ergonomically
Oh, it feels great.
correct?
It's amazing. When riding your old bike, your old e-bike, if I remember right, the pedaling came on and then the assist stopped as soon as you came around to get the next pedal. So it felt like it was assist, no assist, assist, no assist, assist, no assist. Is that how you remember it as well?
It assisted to the degree of the force that you put on it. If you're pedaling lightly, it assists lightly. If you're pedaling hard, it assists hard. And so it's very intuitive in the way that it assisted you with your climb. It was really good. I mean, it was better than any of the electric bikes that I've tried up to this point as far as its intuitive assist. And so you could be going slow, you could be going fast, but the assist didn't turn off as long as you were asking for more by continuing to pedal hard.
Okay. And the battery, that was a nickel, I think that was a nickel metal hydride battery. So it was not lithium like the new designs are. And you feel like it was a very similar weight to...
It was very heavy.
It was heavy. Compared to, let's say, the ad motor though.
Same weight.
Same
they were
weight.
very heavy.
Okay. But the range again being
8 times.
Yeah,
8
6,
times.
8. Okay.
Because the ad motor is advertised at like 75, 80 miles. The LaFree was like 20 miles tops. And again, I never rode it with the power fully on. I always rode it in eco. And just used the rest of the gears as you would on a normal bike to assist myself. But the power was always consistent as far as with the actual force that I was using when I pedal.
And that one was also a mid-drive motor. It also had the motor in the center pulling the chain along. Okay.
Okay, so voiceover guy again. Hello everybody. Paige by this time had just finished up at work and she was super excited to see the bike. So we actually had a very difficult time getting the battery out the first time around, but when she got there, for some reason it just popped right out for her, and it hasn't been an issue since. So here we are lighting up the screen for the first time, kind of testing out the electronics, taillight. And yeah, here in just a minute we take it out for the first spins and get the impression, but not before we realize we forgot to put air in the tires. So all right, attempt number 2. And then we're off.
So that was with 0 power. It doesn't feel bad in the first few gears. It's heavy, but it's pedal-able if you didn't have power. Let's see what, let's say, number 3 does.
Jeez Louise, Dad.
fast. Can you please be careful?
There is a fair amount of power here. All right, is that the front brake?
Jeez Louise, Dad. Aaron's like, oh, I want to come with you.
Okay. First 0.1 miles. Impression, super smooth. The power just comes on beautifully, and
They're very tactile.
let's go tighten up some bolts and we will get back at it later, possibly tomorrow. %40 battery. Yeah, we're just gonna take it and let her charge. Oh, wait. Paige wanted to try. Okay. It is kind of a mess in here now, huh? Now, then, everywhere, every when. Okay, so I would start on 1 power. It's so smooth you don't know that it's taken off as fast as it is. Thank you, I do appreciate that. It shows up a little bit on camera. It really shows up actually in daylight. All right, so are you in neutral or 1? You're on 1. Yeah, the seat's a little high. It's for me. It doesn't. Well, now it's a little low. It's for Kaya. Funny, the last time we were doing one of these initial rides was in snow on that driveway. Kind of nice. It's smooth, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like this gentle, constant. The tree's in the way, sort of gentle, constant. Right? Yeah, the seat's got its own shock in it, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Usually bike seats look cool.
Yep. So it's kind of nice to have a little bouncy, huh?
Yeah.
So. All right, well, it's set at a storage charge, so let's go charge it up the rest of the way. Probably get back at it tomorrow, but maybe tonight. Maybe eventually sometime. Here we go.
So I'm thinking instead of having this out to charge, we're gonna just have it in the bike so that so that the battery is not getting damaged if something falls on it, and so that there's just no risk of anything getting broken. So.
And my response to that was, how dare you use common sense?
Like he usually does. Yeah, Paul Rachel does that.
Okay, we'll just marinate for a while, reach 100% charge. You're too tall.
Yes, I know. You say that. I mean, you're the same height.
I am taller, thank you.
By ½ an inch.
Yes, that would be taller.
Why that much?
So, well, darn it. I was really hoping to be able to go take the bike out today. I was super excited, the battery was on charge, it was ready to go. And we got rain. It's alright, definitely need the rain. Alright everybody, voiceover guy again. So I think we'll end the video right here. You see that it was a lot of talk and not a whole lot of action. So part 2, we'll definitely put the bike through its paces. Julie had a really good ride on it, ran through a full charge, and it does get the advertised mileage for sure. So, but we're super excited to show you all that when it comes through, and so looking forward to it, and we'll see you next time.